I'm sorry you lost your son. Oh, I didn't lose him. I know where he's at. He's not going anywhere. Okay, see, that's dark humor. That's what we're going to talk about real quick. That's why we're in the dark and I'm wearing black. Ooh. Anyway, I think dark humor is wonderful. I think it's great. Anybody that can find humor and laughter in something that's so hard, so depressing, and so overwhelming, I think is already won no matter what happens. A comedian friend of mine, Craig Shoemaker, throw a shout out to him, has a organization called Laughter Works with an X. Check it out. And that's his whole premise, is that laughter can cure most anything. And I think to a degree, he's 100% right. I think when we were battling cancer with Damon, man, Damon, you talk about me or anybody in our family, Damon was the worst. Damon had more dark humor than any of us. And again, I think that's wonderful. If you or your person that's battling cancer or anybody that can find humor in something so shitty, sorry to use that word, I think you've won, because it's depressing and it's hard. And if you can find laughter, laugh. You know, I have had people tell me when I say that, when they told me, about losing my son, I had one woman just almost get upset, saying how rude I was and I shouldn't be talking like that about my son and everything else. And I just doubled down and went, well, he's not here. He can't defend himself. That didn't go over well either. But again, Damon had more dark humor than any of us. In fact, I'll give you a couple of good examples just to show he's worse than I am. There was a situation where Damon had his arm amputated. That in itself was bad enough, and Damon took it like a champ. In fact, the day that the doctor told us that he was going to have to amputate his arm, Damon just said, well, I'd rather hug my parents with one arm than have them bury me with two. That's a rock star. But anyway, we were at an event one time, and this little kid, maybe, 6 or 7, was asking Damon about his arm. He thought Damon's arm was in his shirt or something like that, and asking why he was hiding his arm. And Damon said, well, I don't have my arm. And the kid, again, 6 or 7, just said, well, what happened to it? Now, Damon had no idea I'm behind him, and I'm listening to this conversation. And Damon just looked at this kid with real serious. He goes, have you ever been to the ocean? Kid's like, yeah. He goes, so I went to the ocean with my family, and I went into the water, and I just went knee deep into the water. And I bent down with my arm because I wanted to feel the water and see how hot it was or cold it was. And the minute I bent down and put my hand in the water, all of a sudden the shark came up and it grabbed my arm and it ripped my arm off. And there's blood going everywhere. And my arm, I could see my arm in the shark's mouth just floating away. And this kid just had these big eyes and his mouth wide open. And Damon just really looked at him and went, don't go in the ocean. And this kid, I'm not kidding, tore off screaming, running. And I came up behind Damon, and he just turned around with this little sheepish grin like he was very proud of himself. And again, not knowing I was there. And I looked at him and was like, what the hell was that? And Damon looked like, well, now he's got a story to tell. And I was like, yeah, to his therapist, dude. The best one, though, I will have to give him credit because I don't think I could even pull this off. Damon was getting, had surgery, and coming out of surgery, he was in the recovery room, and you're groggy and everything. Well, his mother and his Nono and Nona, his grandparents, they're Italian, were in the room, and coming out of surgery, Damon just looked at him and he's like, who are you? And his mom's like, funny, Damon, I'm your mother. And she's like, I don't know who you are. And she goes, well, this is Nono and Nona. And he goes, I don't know them. And so Damon's mother panicked, ran out to the room, tried to get the doctors and nurses, and they all come in. And, mom's in kind of panic mode because she thinks something's wrong with Damon and he's not acting right. And Damon just smiled and went, ha, 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 gotcha. And, for me, I was so proud of him. I thought that was brilliant. Damon thought it was brilliant. Mom, Nona, not so much. But Again, I just think that just shows the strength. And I use that word, strength. If you can laugh and find any reason to laugh with all that, that is an inner strength. Use it, build on it. Don't worry about what other people say about it. Don't care if they make fun of it or they think that you're being insensitive or whatever. Who cares? They don't have to go through what you have to go through. So stop. Again, my main thing is stop worrying about what other people think. You are dealing with your own grief. Deal with it the way you feel comfortable. And if you feel comfortable laughing about it, laugh about it. I think that's brilliant. I could go on and tell you story after story, but I'll try not to. But anyway, again, I just want everybody to get happiness is not forgetting. It's just remembering with love. We'll talk again soon.